Boom, 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 boom. Now tell me what you gonna do when it ain't nowhere to run. When judgment comes for you. When judgment comes for you. Tell me what you gonna do when it ain't nowhere to hide. When judgment comes for you. 'Cause it's gonna come for you.
Nigga, this for water, easy, see something Charlie. Little boo, but God's got him. And I'm gonna miss everybody out of rolling flows like I ain't looked at a while. Like, I'm playing for dust and they play too deep for beachside. Little legs I got too deep. Tell me your feature the seats, would it please? Marry me by my grand way. You can't go follow
God bless you, working on a plan to heaven.
Backbone Wrestling Network, welcome back to the CrosUp, your weekly look back at the week that was in professional wrestling. This week I'll be running through the results and happenings from Raw on December the 22nd to SmackDown on December the 26th, as well as the AEW World's End pay-per-view. We'll start with Raw. We open with a recap of the end of last week's Raw, with Austin Theory being revealed as the Masked Man and Braun Breaker spearing CM Punk once again to wrap up the show. We start the show proper with the Vision walking in. Paul Heyman kind of tells the Brawns to go on. As he sees Theory in the distance, he goes to talk to him. Theory explains why he was wearing the mask the last few weeks and months. He made a lot of bad decisions, and then he saw the Vision taking what they wanted on Raw the last 6 months or so, and that's what Theory does now. He'd love to take the opportunity and help out the Vision any way he can. And Heyman pretty much just says, interesting, very interesting, and then he walks off. So he doesn't really give Theory an answer, but we'll see later that he does give him an opportunity to prove himself. We then go to Rhea Ripley. Backstage, she apologizes to Io Sky for getting her hurt last week when Sky kind of dove in and took the insane elbow for her, and then asked Io to stay in the back for her match. And Io isn't happy, but agrees when they give each other a hug. So, and then ends up not happening as Asuka defeats Rhea Ripley via pinfall with a roll-up and a handful of tights after Kairi and Io Sky had been battling on the outside, which caused enough of distraction for Asuka to get that roll-up. We then go to the Vision with Paul Heyman. They aren't sure about Austin Theory, but Paul Heyman talks about how far they've come in a year. And the two of them don't know or don't have much of an argument on what they've accomplished so far this year. So Heyman switches the main event where Braun Breaker was supposed to team up with Bronson Reed against in a match later on. And Braun Breaker is going to be switched out for Theory. So it's going to be Theory and Bronson Reed in the main event tonight. We then look back at Gunther's big speech from last week as he reminded the fans that he made John Cena tap out like a little bitch. We then go to Becky Lynch. She comes out for a promo. She talks about how she's had issues with Maxine Dupree and thinks someone in the power, kind of in power, is against her. Somebody up the kind of corporate grapevine is against her. Becky then went to the heads of Netflix, and they told her to go to miserable Michigan tonight, which is where she is. They're in Grand Rapids. She says she hasn't seen a single rapid in Grand Rapids, which is very misleading. We then hear her talk about her Sports Illustrated, like how they talk about how she's the greatest of all time. Maxine Dupree eventually comes out and cuts her off. Dupree says she beat her more than once, and she's willing to do it again because she is the Women's Intercontinental Champion. Becky is too busy complaining about everything though, and it doesn't make her look like the greatest of all time that she claims that she is. It makes her look like someone whose best years are behind her, and that's enough for Becky to drop Maxine with a punch. But Maxine eventually turns it around, locks in an ankle lock, and Becky taps before escaping. We then look back at Nikki Bella interrupting last week's Women's World Title match between Raquel Rodriguez and Stephanie Vicaire. We then get Adam Pearce. He's talking to Javon Evans, saying they could talk about his future after Javon's match with Ricky Saints, or after his match tonight. Sorry, he has a match next week on NXT with Ricky Saints. So, but he has a match later tonight. They say they can talk about his future later. They're kind of doing this thing where all these NXT guys are free agents, so we'll see if they sign or they can remain in NXT. I think that's kind of what it's up to. But Javon's one. Obafemi, I think, has kind of been being treated as one. Trick Williams also kind of being treated in that camp. So we'll see what they kind of go with for that. But I have a feeling Javon may end up back in NXT, but Trick and Oba may be main roster bound for sure. But Stephanie Vaquer comes in when Javon Evans leaves. Vaquer comes in to request a triple threat match between her, Nikki Bella, and Raquel Rodriguez next week, so she can get revenge on both of them. Pierce accepts and says that can happen, and it's official. We then go to the Usos. They're fired up about being back in the tag team division and are ready to get their tag team title shot next week against AJ Styles and Dragon Lee. We then go to Javon Evans' match. He defeats Rayo Americano via pinfall, following the OG cutter. After the match, the rest of the Americanos come out, but Evans uses his quickness to kind of avoid getting any further beatdown. We then go to AJ Styles and Dragon Lee. They're used to facing the best, so they're ready to face the Usos next week for their championships. We then go to Braun Breaker. He's ready for CM Punk and wants the real version of CM Punk to show up. Either way, Breaker is winning the title on January 5th. If Punk is just here to make money, Breaker hopes he's cashed his checks, because after January 5th, Punk will be broke and no longer able to wrestle anymore, because he's going to destroy him. We then go to Nikki Bella. She cuts a promo. She is the most famous person in this arena tonight, as she is a Hall of Famer and a former champion. But what would Michigan know about champions? Maybe if they were Ohio State, they would know better. She's ready to win her championship, she says, back. And next week, she's going to do so, because she's a big deal here and everywhere. We then go to a match where Bayley defeats Roxanne Perez via pinfall, following a top rope elbow. We then go to Bronson Reed. He tells Austin Theory to follow his lead. Theory has the same idea, but he wants Bronson Reed to follow his lead. We then go to the Judgment Day ladies. They're arguing with Raquel Rodriguez, saying she has to prepare for her title match next week and doesn't need them clouding her judgment. We then go to Gunther. Again, he cuts kind of a shithead promo. The fans boo him super hard like they did last week. Gunther doesn't seem to mind, laughing it off mostly. Before he says anything, he goes outside and poses on the announcer's table to continue to piss the crowd off. He gets back in the ring. They continue to boo him, with Gunther eventually saying they shouldn't be mad at him. They should be mad at the one who tapped out like a little. But before he can say bitch, CM Punk comes out to get in Gunther's face. Gunther goes to leave, but does stop on the steps and does the "you can't see me" in Punk's face, and again chuckles before he leaves. Rey Mysterio then comes out as well and kind of has a stare down with Gunther as well. We then come back from commercial break. Gunther again runs into AJ Styles, who says Gunther doesn't know when to shut up. And Gunther just kind of laughs it off and says, yeah, I guess I don't. But then we go to our main event, where Bronson Reed and Austin Theory defeat Rey Mysterio and CM Punk when Theory hits the stomp on Rey Mysterio. After the match, Braun Breaker runs in with a spear to cut CM Punk down once again and end the show on top as per usual. So they keep doing the same thing, where Braun and Bronson and Heyman seem to be standing tall at the end of every Raw, but they're trying to get over the new group. I understand, but at a certain point, these samesies finishes to these Raws is going to get a little bothersome, and it's already honestly bothering some people. I don't really put that much into it, but it is growing a little bit tiresome. So it would be nice to see the faces maybe get over every once in a while, but I'm assuming the face is going to go over in the match that they eventually have. So we will see. But as far as best match for Raw, not too many to pick from, not a ton of in-ring time during this one. This was a lot of promos and kind of segments and stuff, but I would go with Rhea Ripley and Asuka. It did kind of a funky finish, but I would say as far as match as a total, I would go with that. We will go from here to NXT. Lola Vice opens the show defeating Izzy Dame via pinfall with a spinning back fist after Tatum Paxley came out from under the balcony in the NXT arena with a chainsaw and provided enough of a distraction for Izzy to get nailed with that spinning back fist and pinned. After the match, though, Kalani Jordan comes out and she beats the absolute dog mess out of Lola Vice to kind of end the segment. We then go to the back, and Thea Hale thanks Jordan Grace for having her back last week when she didn't really have to. And Thea kind of says she's going to go out and make a speech about her big win. We then go to Ethan Page comes in to mock Miles Bourne for not making the right changes to fix his career like he told him to. Bourne needs to think about his future because if he can survive here, Monday and Friday are easy. And Ethan tells Miles to watch his title defense next week, and he'll show him how it's done. We then go to Thea Hale. She comes out to cut a promo. She obviously is very tearful and excited about her big win last week. She said she never knew that she would be able to feel this good in her career. The people are here have watched her grow up, and now she is here as champion. She talks about the lessons that Andre Chase taught her, and now everything she has lost throughout the year. She's lost Chase U. She's lost title opportunities before, and now she is the youngest North American women's champion in history. Now she finally feels like a grown-ass woman, as she has called herself for a while. And after she calls herself a grown-ass woman, Blake Monroe comes out. Blake calls last week a mistake that she has to deal with, though Hale doesn't want to hear it. She says if Monroe wants a rematch, we can have it at New Year's Evil. We then get video of a new Evolve superstar named Eli Knight and Tavion Heights. They will have a speed tournament match later on tonight. So kind of giving you an idea of who Eli Knight is and kind of reminding everyone of who Tavion Heights is and what he's kind of been doing in the past. We then go back to the back, and Sol Ruca is ready to get back on the waves and win the women's U.S. title tonight. She has a match with Chelsea Green in our main event. Zarya then promises to have her back as she knows Alba Fire will be out there to have Chelsea's. We then go to that speed tournament match where Tavion Heights defeats Eli Knight via pinfall following a belly-to-belly suplex. And like I said, he advances in the men's speed tournament to the finals. I think it's only 2 rounds, so we'll see who Jasper Troy's next challenger is. We then go to Blake Monroe in the back. She runs into the Vanity Project. She runs into Jackson Drake first and then swipe right, or kind of sitting there as they kind of continue to walk. They all seem to have presence for her because she should still be the women's North American champion. Ricky Smokes then seemingly suggests that she might lose the rematch against Thea. And that pisses her off, obviously, and she tells them to go away, but wants Ricky Smokes to leave his gift. But Brad Baylor and Jackson Drake get away with theirs, and they will give them to someone else later. We then go to Leon Slater and Oba Femi. They have a sit-down interview in the back. Femi talks about how he is the ruler of NXT, but he wants to eventually be the ruler of WWE as well. In 2 weeks, Slater is going to feel the shift that is taking place. Leon then talks about how wrestling has turned him into a different person because it filled a void in his life. He's not going to trash talk because his actions speak for him, and we'll see who speaks louder at New Year's Evil. And then we get a very tense but respectful handshake to end the segment. We then go to Ava. She's in the ring with security. She brings out Javon Evans and Ricky Saints for a kind of face-off before their match at New Year's Evil. Evans is happy with Saints, but Saints says that Evans doesn't have that emotional control to lead the brand. Evans accuses Saints of not being the man he thinks he is, though Saints says that Evans can't string 2 sentences together. That makes Evans laugh because he can do well enough for John Cena to put him on his last show and for him to be on Raw and SmackDown a lot lately. Meanwhile, there's Saints who isn't even mentioned in those same sentences or respects. They kind of start to go at each other, but it doesn't happen because the security is actually able to hold them apart this time, despite the fact that they hardly ever are able to do so. We then go to Fatal Influence. They come up to Kendall Gray and Ren Sinclair, just kind of to insult them before Kendall Gray and JC Jane's match next week, or at New Year's Evil, sorry. And then they eventually argue to the point where JC Jane will face Ren Sinclair next week. We then go to a tag team match. It is a Christmas Chaos tag team match. Skylar Ray and Shiloh Hill, the LFG Season 2 winners, defeat Stax and Ariana Grace in that Christmas Chaos match, which is basically just a kind of, weapons that are Christmas-sized. But the finish happens when Skylar Ray hits the frog splash on Ariana Grace for the win. We then go to Dark State. They are talking to Ava, and Joe Hendry comes in when somebody mentions his name. They do not fight after all, though, but they do kind of seem like they're getting in each other's face. But Hendry says next week he's willing to give a concert for the new year, and Ava agrees to this thing. We then go to OTM. They're looking forward to a better 2026, hopefully with less injuries than this past year presented them. The Vanity Project then interrupt. They offer their gifts to the interviewer, Kelly Kincaid, that they were going to give to Blake Monroe earlier. OTM doesn't approve of them interrupting their interview time, and they will likely match up at some point in the future, the two teams. We then get Lexis King. He defeats Andre Chase via pinfall with the coronation, and this advances Lexis King to a match with Tavion Heights in the Speed Tournament final. Then go to Kalani Jordan. She yells at the women's locker room for not respecting her and not thinking that she's the best that she knows that she is. And then go to Tavion Heights. He runs into Miles Bourne, and they agree that something has to change this next year. And Hank and Tank come in to give them a pep talk. And then we get our main event where Chelsea Green retains her United States Championship, defeating Sol Ruca via pinfall when Alba Fire is able to break up the Soul Snatcher, allowing Chelsea to hit the Unpretty Her to retain her championship. After the match, Zarya hits a double spear on Chelsea and Alba, and then Sol does a double Soul Snatcher on both of them as well to leave them laying. And as far as best match, that would go to that match, Chelsea and Sol. They gave them a good bit amount of time. It had some stakes. It was for the U.S. title. I think when Chelsea's in there with a good athletic superstar, kind of like Sol is, Sol can kind of bring the goodness out of Chelsea, and Chelsea can bring the character and kind of storyish type of stuff to a match like this, and they're kind of a good combo with each other. But we will go from there to Dynamite. Dynamite and Collision were Wednesday, Thursday, so they're kind of back to back. But a lot of Continental Classic. It will be the final two shows of the Continental Classic, and then the finals will be at World's End that I'll talk about later. But to start out, Konosuke Takeshita defeats Orange Cassidy via pinfall following a Raging Fire. Takeshita gains 3 points, taking him to 10 points total, and gives him the solo lead in the Blue League. After that match, obviously things will change throughout the night, but as for now, he's in the lead of the Blue League by himself. Gabe Kidd wants revenge on Darby Allin. The Bang Bang Gang then won a Chicago street fight with FTR at World's End for the tag team titles. We then go to another Continental Classic match where Mascara Dorado defeats Roderick Strong via pinfall following the Shooting Star Press. This takes Dorado to 6 points total. He gains 3 points by defeating Roderick Strong. And like I said, he's at 6 points total in the Blue League. So he is kind of behind the rest of the group, but he has some room to improve. But he is at 6 points currently, 4 points behind Takeshita for the lead. So we then go to Jamie Hayter and Chris Statlander. They have a face-to-face. Statlander tells her to let it go with her sob story about having everything taken away from her. Don't pity her for what she was, but fear her for what she's become. And they say they're both ready to win their match at World's End. So we have a big kind of face versus face kind of different kind of situation. Neither of them are particularly going super heelish. I would say Statlander maybe is more of the heel in the situation, but we'll see when we get to the pay-per-view. But we go to a squash match next. MJF beats Dustin Waller in about a minute and a half via submission with the Salt of the Earth. After the match, MJF grabs the mic, and the fans are happy to see him, obviously. Hangman Page and Swerve Strickland both emerge in the crowd to kind of stare at him, though. Hangman Page has a mic. He's saying the no physicality thing was left in England. Page tells MJF to cut another 90s style promo insulting them. But Page comes to the ring where he and Swerve take out the Ops Dojo members, obviously Hobbs and Hook and Shibata. Samoa Joe then pops up on the screen to say he's coming for all of them one by one and promises to retain the title at World's End. Paige and Swerve lay MJF out and choke him with the chain, leaving Swerve to say MJF is more of a ditty than he'll ever be. Swerve talks about a bunch of people MJF has used, such as Wardlaw, The Pinnacle, and Adam Cole. The reality is Swerve always works to make himself better, while MJF just uses others. We then go to the Babes of Wrath in the back. They are ready for their upcoming match on Collision, as well as their title match with Mercedes and Athena at World's End. And they obviously give each other some praise as it's Christmas Eve, so they want to give each other kind of some praise as a present for the Christmas time. We then get Bandito defeating Ricochet via pinfall when he's able to avoid the spirit gun and turns it into a crucifix pin. And this wins Bandito the Dynamite Diamond Ring, and he eventually will get a world title shot against the winner of the title match at World's End. After the match, Ricochet and the Gates of Agony go after Bandito, but Brody King comes in and makes the save. We then get a Darby Allin interview. He says he's not worried about Gabe Kidd, but Gabe Kidd comes up from behind and attacks him, takes him up a set of stairs just to throw him right down them again. So Gabe Kidd, every time he seemingly shows up, he throws Darby Allin down a set of stairs. Poor Darby Allin. Had to get out of the Continental Classic due to injury, and he is immediately thrown down a flight of stairs as soon as he comes back. So poor bastard. Got to feel bad for him. But we go to our next match where Marina Shafir defeats Mina Shirakawa via submission with the Mother's Milk. After the match, she continues to choke her out with it, but Toni Storm runs in and makes the save, but also gets laid out for her efforts. So Marina actually ends up on top, having choked out Mina, and lays out Toni Storm pretty convincingly. We then get the announcement of the Young Bucks. They themselves say that they are not cleared to return to the ring for the rest of the year. Obviously, that's only another week, so not super too much time. But and then Kenny Omega says he has something to do while they're out. Doesn't really say what, but he says he has things on his mind that he can take care of. We then go to Jon Moxley. He wants to fight more in the Continental Classic, implying that he wants to advance and maybe have a chance to win the whole thing. But it just implies that he's ready to fight more in the Continental Classic to get to the ultimate prize. We then go to Jack Perry. We go to a match where Jack Perry defeats Pac via pinfall when he reverses the Brutalizer into a cradle for the win. This gives Jack Perry 3 more points, taking him to 6 points total. This means that every superstar in the Gold League is tied for first at 6 points. So all 6 guys have 6 points. So makes it super interesting going into Collision, which is the next show, to see who ends up at the top. So it's literally anyone's game. You kind of have the feeling who you think it's going to be, but it literally could have been anybody coming out of the show. But after the match, Luchasaurus or Lucha Claus comes out with milk and cookies for Jack Perry. And he, of course, is wearing his Lucha Claus hat, his Santa Claus hat, obviously, to celebrate the fact that it's Christmas Eve. But as far as best match for Dynamite, I would go with the Dynamite Diamond Ring match between Bandito and Ricochet. They really just let them go all out, and both guys are super talented, and they brought it home for Dynamite that night. So, but we will go to Collision from there. It's the wrap up to the Continental Classic. They have an opening video that looks at the Continental Classic, kind of where we are, where we've been. They show the standings. The Blue League is a little bit more easily kind of decipherable than the Gold League, but we will get an answer to who is going to advance in the tournament after tonight. We will have our first match where, as Jack Perry ended the last show, he starts this show, but he loses this time. Kyle Fletcher defeats him via pinfall following a brainbuster. This earns Kyle 3 points, obviously, and gains him the Gold League lead with 9 points. So obviously he's somewhat in the driver's seat to advance, but we'll see how the rest of the Gold League ends up. We then go to Kyle O'Reilly. He tries to tell Roderick Strong to lean on the conglomeration when he needs them and to never give up on himself. And Roddy seems pretty encouraged by a pep talk from his buddy. We then get Konosuke Takeshita defeating Mascara Dorado via pinfall following the Raging Fire. Takeshita earns 3 points here, and he is the winner of the Blue League, as no one can catch him with this victory. He has 13 points, and the closest person behind him is 6 points behind. So he is the winner of the Blue League, so he will advance no matter what the rest of the results are. So Konosuke Takeshita is your first semifinalist. But the next match, Roderick Strong is actually able to defeat Claudio Castagnoli, getting him his only 3 points of the tournament. He hits an angle slam and a couple of knees to the face, and that puts Claudio down for the 3 count. Like I said, Roddy earns his only 3 points. So again, for the third year in a row, I think they've only done this 3 years. No one ends up with 0. Roddy was the only person scoreless at this point, and he gets the 3 points in his last match. And this seemingly blocks Claudio out of the semifinal, because you got to think somebody behind him is going to score a victory. But he is technically in second place after this match at 7 points, but there's a few at 6 right behind him, and you got to think somebody's going to get some points somewhere around there. So, but after the match with Roddy and Claudio, the Death Riders come out, beat down Roddy Strong. But Mark Briscoe runs in to make the save. Tony Storm comes in to go after Marina Shafir again. And they are actually able to run him out. And Mark Briscoe actually kisses Tony Storm on the hand. And this gives Twitter pates Tony Storm a little bit. She seems like she's really into the idea that Mark Briscoe kissed her hand. We then go to the Bang Bang Gang. They again say they want a rematch with FTR. Stokely Hathaway does accept this time for a match at World's End, and it will be a street fight as previously mentioned. We get video again of Chris Stanlander and Jamie Hayter, kind of all the things that happened to that point for their match. We then go to another Continental Classic match where Kevin Knight and Pac go to a time limit draw. When the time expires, as Knight is refusing to tap in the Brutalizer, so Pac had him dead to rights, but Knight hangs on to get to the time expiring. They both end up at 7 points total in the Gold League, which virtually eliminates both of them. Not technically, but with one match left between Okada and Speedball, you got to think the winner of that, or you got to think there's going to be a winner in that match. So whoever that would be would advance ahead of them. We then go to Gabe Kidd. He talks about hearing Darby Allin's body bouncing on the steps. He said, Allin is an indestructible, and now Allin is in the ICU. Obviously, of course, as soon as he says that, Darby Allin comes out with the baseball bat and chases Kidd off, and they have their match set for World's End. We then go to a video of Mercedes Moné and Athena challenging the Babes of Wrath for the tag team titles at World's End. So that's going to be the big match between them for the tag team titles. Obviously, it kind of shows how they earned it and all that good stuff. When they have a Babes of Wrath match, they squash Hyann and Maya World pretty quickly. They then have a post-match promo where they talk about being in New York, including going to Eddie Kingston's mother's house, apparently. They met Santa Claus and talk about wanting peace, except for in Chicago, because that's where they are going to hurt Mercedes Moné and Athena. We then get, we'll have our final 2 Continental Classic matches, which will be big ones, because Jon Moxley defeats Orange Cassidy via pinfall when he reverses a submission attempt into a small package. This earns Mox 3 points, taking him to 9 points total, and earns him the semifinal spot for the Blue League. So your Blue League advancers are Konosuke Takeshita and Jon Moxley. So as much as Claudio seemed like he was in the driver's seat, Mox snuck up behind him and gained that second spot. And then our Gold League other advancer will be Kazuchika Okada when he defeats Speedball Mike Bailey via pinfall when he's able to score a surprise roll-up after Speedball had hit kind of a series of moves. Konosuke Takeshita then comes out to stare down Okada as they will be facing each other in the semifinals. So they kind of have a stare down in the show. But like I said, Okada gains 3 points, taking him to 9 points total. This means he and Kyle Fletcher are the 5 semifinalists out of the Gold League. So it will be Fletcher versus Mox and Takeshita versus Okada at World's End. And the winners of each match will face each other to not only win the Continental Classic, but maybe retain or win the Continental Championship. As far as best match of the show, You could really honestly pick any of them. I thought they were all pretty fantastic. But I would go with Fletcher and Perry. Obviously, I'm a huge Fletcher mark, but they kind of set the tone for the night. And I really think they threw the best match out there. Okada Bailey was very good as well. Um, if you like Moxley, which I'm not a huge fan, but if you like Moxley, him and Orange had a pretty good match as well. But like I said, all of the Continental Classic matches were incredible. So check them all out, no matter what. Um, but we'll go from there to Impact real quick. Impact was mostly a highlight show. They did have one match, so I'll cover that real quick. It was a 10-person kind of mixed tag team match. Desmond Xavier, Mara Sade, Eric Young, BDE, and Cassie Lee defeated Mance Warner, Jake Something, Rosemary, Ryan Nemeth, Jesse McKay when Sade eventually hit the super kick on Rosemary. So a 10-person tag, just kind of a fun little, 10-person brawl that they kind of all end up real chaotic at the end. And Sade's able to get the win with a big super kick on Rosemary. But obviously that's the only match. That's the only really thing that happened of substance that was current day per se. So that's all I'll cover. But we'll go from there to SmackDown. We open with a recap of Drew McIntyre versus Cody Rhodes and their rivalry to this point, with Rhodes possibly getting on the bad side of the general manager, Nick Aldis. Rhodes arrives and runs into Aldis, who says McIntyre isn't there yet. Aldis says McIntyre signed the contract, so once he publicly apologizes to the referee Dan Engler and pays his fine, Rhodes can no longer lay a finger on him. Rhodes understands and says to tell him when McIntyre shows up. Aldis agrees, but then he kind of walks away and runs into The Miz, who wants nothing to do with, the guy with the name. Aldis accuses him of being a grumpy Grinch and points out that Joe Hendry is already in the ring. We then see on the screen that Hendry's in the ring with some elves, which is basically just the jobbers, the Alpha Academy, and we even have the bunny making a return. I don't think it's Justin Gabriel this time, but the bunny is back. We talk about Hendry then sings a song about the size of Miz's testicles, of course, mentions how he can beat Carmelo Hayes and gets thrown, or he can't beat Carmelo Hayes, the Miz, obviously. Talks about getting thrown out of the locker room a lot and can't do well in Hollywood. Miz then comes out to complain, but gets serenaded with the song again. Aldis then comes out and says, not only will they be facing each other right now, it will be a miracle on 34th Street fight. Joe Hendry then defeats The Miz via pinfall, following a standing ovation through the table. And then he pins him, obviously. We then get Fraxium and Carmelo Hayes in the back. Ilya Dragunov walks in to talk to Hayes. He talks about their chemistry last week in their tag match, and Dragunov says the open challenge is closed because Hayes is getting a title shot tonight because he can't live with the fact that he doesn't know which one of them is better, because the last time they had a match, it got interrupted. We then go to Drew McIntyre. He arrives, but won't say the stipulation he's picking for the match against Cody Rhodes, and says he's not interested in going to the ring yet, and he's going to go take a nap real quick. We then get video of Damian Priest and Aleister Black talking about their rivalry, talking about how it must end soon, and they will be facing each other on the first 3-hour SmackDown of the new year. So we'll see that one kind of ends. But we then go to Jade Cargill. She isn't happy with Michin attacking her with a kendo stick. Cargill says she doesn't need weapons because she herself is a weapon. We then go to BFAB, and to get Michin's kind of counterpoint, BFAB doesn't want Michin to get hurt by standing up for BFAB. Michin thinks Cargill is worried about facing Michin, and they can use that to their advantage next week. We then go to Charlotte Flair. She defeats Lash Legend via pinfall with a sunset flip. Back in the back, we get Trick Williams in Nick Aldis' office and ask if SmackDown is going to match the offer that Raw gave him. Before Aldis can answer, Cody Rhodes comes in and asks if Drew McIntyre has paid the fine or apologized yet. Aldis says no to both of those things. Trick says that he doesn't like Cody interrupting his meeting with the general manager because he is the hottest free agent around, and he doesn't need to be messed with. Obviously, probably teasing a future match between Cody and Trick. We then go to Solo Sikoa. He's with his MFTs. He is wild about Uncle Howdy and the Wyatt Six. Howdy hides behind a bunch of people wearing masks while Sikoa has created a family. The fireflies are fading away and the lantern is burning low. And we even get a little bit of Solo Sikoa doing a little bit of, he's got the whole world in his hands to obviously play back to Bray Wyatt, Uncle Howdy's brother. We then go to our U.S. Open Challenge where Carmelo Hayes defeats Ilya Dragunov via pinfall with the nothing but net, and he becomes the new United States champion. After the match, Dragunov takes the belt from the ref and presents it to Carmelo Hayes, putting it around his waist and shakes his hand, hugs him. So a lot of respect shown. Big moment for Carmelo. I'm proud that he got he gets the opportunity to run with the U.S. title. Hopefully he keeps the Open Challenge going, but we'll see. He probably gets his next challenger pretty soon as we have a backstage segment with him in just a little bit. We then go to Alexa Bliss and Charlotte. They are ready for the women's tag team titles, but Rhea Ripley and Io Sky come in and say they are going to win the titles on the January 5th Raw on Netflix. Nia Jax and Lash Legend come in to argue, saying they want their shot as well, with Nick Aldis eventually coming in and getting between them. The Kabuki Warriors then come in to say that next week they can all have a 8-woman tag team match. So obviously the heels versus the faces. We then go to a Carmelo Hayes interview. He obviously thanks Ilya Dragunov for the opportunity. He thanks him for the fact that he reminded Hayes that he is him. Johnny Gargano then comes in and jumps Hayes from behind, saying that the United States title is his, and he will obviously be coming for Carmelo Hayes. We then get Kiana James and Julia. They defeat Alba Fire and Chelsea Green when Julia hits the Northern Lights bomb on Chelsea Green, obviously pretty much cementing the fact that she's going to get the next women's U.S. title shot. We then get Kit Wilson in Nick Aldis' office saying he wants to showcase the new version of himself. Cody Rhodes then comes in and asks referee Dan Engler if McIntyre has apologized to him yet. Obviously, he still hasn't, but McIntyre comes out to the ring and we'll cut a promo next as they kind of go to commercial. And obviously, Aldis and Engler are going to join him in the ring. But when we come back from commercial, we get a video on Obafemi, kind of seemingly saying he's coming to the main roster as well as Evans and Trick Williams seem to be as well. So Obafemi, obviously still NXT champion, so we'll see who he ends up losing it to, but he's seemingly main roster bound here pretty soon. But we will go to the final promo. Drew McIntyre is in the ring with Nick Aldis and Dan Engler. He hands Aldis the check for his fine, which seems to be enough for Aldis to be okay with. That brings McIntyre to apologizing to Dan Engler. He apologizes for the Claymore that he hit on him. Dan Engler seemingly accepts his apology, but McIntyre apologizes again for Dan Engler clearly wanting to be a wrestler but not being good enough to be one. McIntyre also apologizes to Engler's wife for not having a husband like Drew, obviously, and to Engler's children for having such a corporate stooge of a father. So he apologized, but is cutting him down immediately after. Cody Rhodes then comes out to kind of try to interrupt him, but obviously he can't touch him. McIntyre says he knows Cody Rhodes wants to hurt him. McIntyre tries to goad him into a fight, even bringing up Cody's wife and kids. With that not working, he says the title shot will be outside of the United States, and it will be 3 stages of hell. I think he said Germany. I think they're going to Germany pretty soon, so that will be when the title match will happen. I think it's the first 3-hour SmackDown of the new year, so I think it's in a couple weeks. But it's going to be 3 stages of hell. They don't say what the stages are. I think we'll obviously get that throughout the next few weeks. Drew McIntyre then says the title match, like I said, is in 2 weeks in Berlin. And when he takes Cody to hell, he can say hi to Dusty while he's down there. Rhodes is obviously pissed and ready to fight. Gets held back, eventually breaks loose, but gets claymored and Drew stands tall with the championship to end the show. So pretty hot ending. Obviously, this is a rivalry that's been going on for a hot minute. So hopefully this is the final straw. Maybe Drew wins, probably not. But if Cody wins, hopefully this is the last time they face each other for a hot minute. But we'll see when we get to Berlin in a couple weeks. But Hayes and Dragunov, obviously the best match. At any time, as long as they're going to be doing these U.S. Open challenges, it's going to be the best match of the show. There's no doubt about that. So this week was no different. And we will go to World's End. It is the last pay-per-view of the year for either company. Obviously, it's the last one for AEW. But we open with the Continental Classic semifinals. This is the first two matches. In the first semifinal, Kazuchika Okada defeats Konosuke Takeshita via pinfall when an errant Rainmaker nails the ref, which allows Okada to use a screwdriver that was hidden in the turnbuckle. This moves Okada to the finals of the Continental Classic, obviously. And they do a pretty good job with the screwdriver. In the next match, Fletcher goes to find it, and it's not there. So obviously, he was training coming into his match and wasn't paying attention. They actually kind of tie it in because Fletcher kind of goes for it in a moment of desperation, and it ends up costing him as Jon Moxley defeats him via submission when Fletcher passes out in a rear naked choke, and Jon Moxley will face Kazuchika Okada in the Continental Classic final. Fletcher had kind of been working the leg throughout the match, and after the match, Fletcher goes and chop blocks Moxley and kind of leaves him laying after the match. So Jon Moxley and Okada will be your Continental Classic final. I said this to somebody when we were watching the show last night, but there were 4 combinations of a final that you could have had in this situation. And me personally, they went with the most boring version that they could have, the worst version that they could have with the two guys. Obviously, they were trying to do something with the eventual winner, kind of getting him back after kind of a low point for him, losing a bunch of matches in a row. But we'll get to that when we get to that. But I think of the finals that they could have had, this is by far the most boring combination that they could have come up with. But we'll talk about that when we get to it later. We then have our tag team title match where FTR defeats the Bang Bang Gang when they hit 2 spike pile drivers on Austin Gunn, with the second one being on the tag team title, and pin him for the win. We go to our women's tag team title match after that, and the Babes of Wrath retain their championships against Athena and Mercedes Moné when Willow reverses the Monet Maker into a roll-up, and the Babes of Wrath retain their championships. We then go to the Darby Allin Gabe Kidd match where Darby Allin wins when he does the classic Bret Hart spot where he flips out of the sleeper hold and Gabe Kidd doesn't release it and ends up taking the pin in that spot. So Darby gets another win over Gabe Kidd. We then go to an 8-man tag where it is conglomeration members, Orange Cassidy, Mark Briscoe, and kind of Roderick Strong. They team up with Tony Storm to defeat the Death Riders, which is Wheeler Yuta, Claudio Castagnoli, Daniel Garcia, and Marina Shafir, when Briscoe hits the J Driller on Wheeler Yuta. After the match, the rest of the conglomeration come out to celebrate, with Mina Shirakawa jumping into Tony Storm's arms. And then after Mina kind of gets set down, Orange Cassidy, in a funny little moment, comes and jumps in Tony Storm's arms as well, and she kind of carries him around for a bit. So pretty good post-match celebration. And a kind of fun, kind of crazy chaos match between the eight people there. But we go from there to Mercedes Moné. She walks back, selecting air, goes into a seemingly private locker room. She kind of destroys the mirror, kind of throws some stuff around. She says she'll face Willow Nightingale on Dynamite and promises to beat her fat ass, which is not very nice, but that is what she says. We then go to Chris Statlander. She defeats Jamie Hayter via pinfall when Stat hits her with the Saturday Night Fever. So she retains her championship. Don Callis is ready for Kazuchika Okada to prove his greatness once again, winning the Continental Classic for the second year in a row. He already doesn't like Jon Moxley, so it's time to get some revenge on him here tonight. We then have John Moxley. He says he's ready to show how great he is because this tournament is all about who has the most passion and drive to get to the finish line. And then we have our Continental Classic final where John Moxley defeats Kazuchika Okada via pinfall following a stomp. And then he follows that with a Death Rider DDT. And he wins the Continental Classic and becomes the new Continental Champion in the process. And this obviously officially splits the unified title. So Okada is now just the international champion and Moxley is the Continental Champion. I don't know if they'll try to reunify them later, but for now they are split back up and we have 4 men's mid-card titles. But Moxley obviously wins the Continental Classic, becomes the new Continental Champion. He cuts a promo after the match. The Death Riders come out to celebrate with him. He says this title belongs to everyone else in the tournament, the fans of wrestling, and his teammates in the Death Riders. They are the hardest working wrestlers going today, and they are going to give the fans exactly what they want, and that is the best wrestling in the world. So, obviously, the Death Riders have been a huge heel group for the last year plus. Obviously, ever since they turned on Bryan Danielson at Wrestle Dream, not this past Wrestle Dream, but the one before that. So they seemingly turned face here, kind of out of nowhere. Moxley goes on a tear, losing his first 2 matches in the Continental Classic, and coming all the way back, winning 3 in a row in the round robin portion, and then obviously winning the 2 big matches here in the tournament. I'm not a huge Moxley fan. I think that's probably come across on this show more than once. Well, we'll get to that in a little bit, but Moxley, your Continental Classic winner, and your new Continental Champion. We then go to MJF defeating Samoa Joe, Hangman Page, and Swerve Strickland when Page hits 2 buckshot lariats on Samoa Joe, only for MJF to come in and low blow Page, and then obviously MJF grabs Samoa Joe, hits the Heat Seeker on him, and becomes the new AEW World Champion, and MJF grabs his title and celebrates in the show as your new world champion. So as soon as MJF kind of cashed in his opportunity and got into the match, I kind of figured he would be the winner. I kind of figured we would get a new champion either way. It would be either be him or Swerve. But it being MJF is not surprising. But as far as best match for World's End, I would go with Fletcher and Moxley earlier on in the night. They went all out, hit a ton of finishers on each other, and continued to kick out and out and out. Obviously, it took Moxley a lot to eventually choke him out. He cinched it in for quite a bit. Fletcher even turned like completely purple at one point, so I think he might have somewhat legit been completely knocked out. But heck of a pay-per-view. I don't agree with the Continental Classic winner. As I was going to say a minute ago, I even threatened to quit the show if that happened, or at least quit covering AEW. Obviously, I was kind of talking out of my ass. I did not expect him to win, obviously. But yeah, he did win. I'm not quitting. This is the last episode of the CrosUp, but it's only the last episode of the CrosUp for 2025. Obviously, I'll be back in 2026. But thank you for joining me for 2025 as a whole. Obviously, this is the last show before the new year, so obviously Christmas just passed, so Happy New Year. I hope everyone enjoys the celebrations of the new year coming to the world. So, but thank you for joining me as always, and we will see you next week. About to blow, waiting for